Just a just a Comic Con. That's all.
We have one in Tulsa next weekend. We have a card show in Jackson, Mississippi 2 weeks later. We have the Comic Con in Little Rock. Then we have one in Mobile, Alabama. Then Springfield, Missouri. Then Wichita, Kansas, and then end up the year in Peoria. So yeah, not much going on.
So what do
And
you
we're
think?
already starting to work on next year's stuff. I got January stuff I'm working on too.
Really?
Oh my Lord. So now out of all of those areas, is there one that is just more chaotic than anything else?
Little Rock, yeah. There's always, I mean, you can just count on it. You can bank on it. There's going to be some weirdness happen because it happens every year. We don't know what, but something weird will happen. I guarantee you. And it won't be something like the attendees will notice. It'll be something that we'll have on the back end to have to deal with. Me like, never would have thought that would have come up, but all right, here we are. So
And then-
that's what happens every year.
And then for our listeners out there, this is Joey Mills, the man, the myth, the legend, running Comic-Con this year at Little Rock.
I'm a myth.
Yeah, but now we're proving you do exist. You're kind of like
Which myth is it? Like, if they're gonna make a movie about it, which myth? Because they had the Odysseys in theaters right now. That's a myth. What kind of myth? The Comic Con myth.
Well,
People I get to play me.
The Odyssey was based on you, wasn't it? Wasn't it you?
No.
Yeah, okay.
I wish. We got to figure out. Yeah, we're gonna have to cast that later on. We'll figure that out.
So now, is it starting to come into fruition, or are the details getting finalized here for Little Rock? I mean, because it's September
18.
18th.
18, 19, 20. Yeah. So we've got a month and a half, give or take. That last 6 weeks or so is always a crunch because most people who've done the Comic-Con thing, they've been to the shows, they've followed stuff online. They know in those last 6 weeks, crazy things happen. Some people will have to drop out because they'll get a gig or flights will be delayed or, things happen constantly. So I would expect over the next 6 weeks that, there'll be some slight changes, but for the most part, we are pretty well locked down with what's going on this year.
So how many people do you think you're expecting this year at Comic-Con?
Oh, it just depends. We started this year because we do about 20 shows a year, or we do this year at least. And we started the year with just crazy attendance numbers across the board for a lot of our shows. We're like, wow.
Oh, cool.
And then we had, kind of spring, summer, you get the, kids are out of school, people are traveling. So the numbers came down a little bit. But then the last couple of shows we did, the numbers were far exceeding what we've done. So it's kind of you always wonder how it's going to play out. There's always the external factors you can't control for, like the economy, the election, stuff like that coming up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I would say that this year will probably be pretty well on par with the last 2 or 3 years that we've seen. So, something close to, 18, 20,000 people.
Good gosh. I mean,
A lot of people just coming in just get air conditioning.
You know what? Yeah, come on in. Soak it up.
now you've actually got a pretty decent line of guests again, of course. You got Danny Trejo's going to be here. You got
Danny Trejo, yep.
Superman, Tom Welling. I mean, that's you can't get much bigger than that. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, Superman and Machete. You can't. There's nothing bigger.
They're going to fight each other. Fight to the
maybe
death.
so. We've got Ming-Na Wen, who was the voice of Mulan in the Disney animated version of the film. I think she made a cameo in the live action. I don't know. I haven't seen it. But she's also done, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so she's got that Marvel connection with Disney. She was in the Mandalorian, so she's got the Star Wars stuff. So it's interesting to see it. People like that who've been in so many big franchise projects. It's always interesting to me to see what people are most getting signed. Are they getting Star Wars stuff signed? Are they getting Marvel stuff signed? Are they getting, Disney stuff signed? So yeah, she's a big one. We've got Dee Snider from Twisted Sister.
Yeah,
so for us,
I'm not going to take it anymore.
no, for us old heads, we're all excited about that. We had him the first time this year. We worked with him at the first time ever. And it was funny because one of the other celebrity guests, who I won't name, was on a podcast talking about Comic Cons and talked about that particular show and how excited they were to meet Dee Snider. And, you always ask these celebrities, like, is there any person you could meet that you would just kind of geek out over or, kind of, have a fanboy moment? And they're always like, no, we do this so often and we see everybody. And, we work with all these people, but they never thought Dee Snider was coming. So we had Dee Snider at that show. He talked about that for weeks afterwards on various podcasts and things that he did. Like, guys, I got to meet Dee Snider at this convention. It was so cool. So
Did he poof out his hair?
He didn't for that one. He keeps it pretty slick back. I think he only teases it up when he's going on stage, and he's recently decided he's not going back on stage because, I mean, I'm not nearly as old as he is, but I understand what's going to hurt every morning when I wake up. So I can't imagine being on the stage because those guys injure themselves all the time because, you know, they got to bring a high energy performance. So yeah, if you're in your, you know, 60s, 70s, 80s, like some of these folks are, then yeah, it's time to maybe slow down a little bit. So I get it. I understand it.
Now, I will admit, one of our couple of our listeners that are reaching out, they were excited about. I don't know his name. They call him Stuart from The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, Kevin Sussman. Yes.
Yes.
He's actually got a show out now.
He didn't save the world.
HBO Max. No, he's failed to save the universe a few times, I think. So I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it because, you know, convention crunch time. But yeah, I hope to at least catch a few episodes of that before we have a chat in Little Rock.
And we're doing an interview with him coming up. Him and Swallows, and so I mean, a lot of these people are real nice about doing interviews.
Yeah, they always, that's the thing. A lot of people like you guys covering this stuff and helping promote this stuff want to do interviews with the guests. And I always tell people, it's like, if you're talking about if they're willing and able, 99% of the time they're willing. It's the able part that we have to work on. Because if you're off away shooting somewhere and, you know, if you're in Czechoslovakia shooting a movie, you're probably not available for a phone call or a Zoom meeting or whatever to talk about Arkansas.
You got to prioritize. In July. Come on, priority.
I know. This should be the top priority, but for some reason it's not always.
Now, for folks, this will be their first time. Tell them a little bit what they can expect when they get there.
So just to kind of walk you guys through it, it's at the State House Convention Center. I would suggest if you know you're going, go ahead and order your tickets online now because they are a little cheaper. It's our advanced discount price.
And start parking right now.
Yes, please. Go ahead and line up at the door today. But you'll also can get in, or if you bought your tickets online before the event, you can come in and get the wristbands ahead of time so you can already be ready to go in once the doors open. Other folks, if you haven't bought tickets yet, you know, they'll be standing in line to purchase tickets. We have to, you know, people always ask, why aren't you selling them as soon as the doors open? Well, it's fire code issues. We've got, you know, we've dealt with so many fire marshals, and the folks down in Little Rock are great. But
I've seen I've seen the lines go over the bridge into the bank parking lot over there.
Oh yeah, no, that was a few years ago. We had that. The lineup was on the bridge, and we had a lot of guests before they'd go on stage. We'd be like, hey guys, come look at this. And we'd go and kind of sneak out on the little balcony there and check out the line stretching into across the bridge into North Little Rock.
North Little Rock, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Now, and I mean, I always tell people if they're not big into comic books or, you know, any of these people, just to come people watch. I mean, that's what I get a kick out of. I had no idea how many people actually dress up as the characters there, just from every comic and superhero, fantasy, anything. It's just there's costumes. I don't even know what they are. It's like, what in the world is this? It's pretty amazing just the people watch these things.
Yeah, I always say the people watching is worth the price of admission alone because you're going to see some crazy stuff. You know, there's some things you can always count on. There's a new Spider-Man movie coming out, so I guarantee you won't be able to stand and, you know, turn a complete circle without seeing a half a dozen Spider-Man. You'll see some Deadpool. There's the ones that always stick out, but then there's some that, you know, the ones I particularly like, especially when you get to like the costume contest and stuff, is the ones that will mash up two different things. Like you'll see something that's like, you know, it's a Iron Man, but it's not an Iron Man suit. Like one example, a few years ago, and folks may know who I'm talking about. When Game of Thrones was really big, you know, the characters on the Game of Thrones last name was Stark. That's also Tony Stark. So this guy had like this full Game of Thrones like chainmail in red and gold, and it had the big thing in the middle. And he was, I forget what he was, but he was Tony Stark of the North or something like that. It was pretty cool. I love it when people get creative and start mashing stuff together because that's not the stuff you see at Spirit Halloween hanging on a rack. You know?
And I seen things, you know, that I didn't think was possible. Like I came in the doors that one day, and outside the door, I didn't know Mr. Spock smoked a cigarette, but he was smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you'll see all kinds of people. And that's the fun part, too, is like watching these groups that don't know each other. They didn't come together. But this person's dressed up as one character from whatever they're a fan of, and somebody else that they don't know is dressed up as another character, or maybe even the same character from that same thing. And now they get together and they start talking about what big fans they are of this same thing that they're dressed as. And eventually you start seeing people making those connections. And that's fun when you do these year after year, is you start seeing those friend groups form, or in some cases, families coming together. People meet and then they kind of come for the next few shows, and the next year they miss because they were off on their honeymoon because they got married. So, it's fun to watch how that stuff plays out too, to watch the interpersonal connections. Again, yeah, like you said, that's worth the price of admission, just to sit back and people watch.
Well, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but a lot of these people that you see, or I would say, are under the label of nerds or whatever. I mean, this is big for them. This is like their Super Bowl. So you just come to this thing, they are actually excited to be here. And I mean, it's just a positive energy. And I just love just walking around and watching all these people. It's fantastic.
There's a lot of folks that you'll hear, and we'll say it, and you'll hear a lot of celebrities say it. And a great example was last weekend in San Diego Comic-Con. Ryan Reynolds went as Deadpool in costume with his face covered. Nobody knew it was him.
Wow.
And he was just out interacting with people on the floor.
That's
and
awesome.
Afterwards, he put out a video showing like, yep, this was me, showed himself, putting it on and then walking around and getting photos and stuff. And nobody knew it was him. But his point was, at the end of this thing, he was like, listen, if every place that we went to acted a little bit more like we act at Comic-Cons, where everybody's just grateful to be there, everybody's a friend, everybody's a fan. Here are a few thousand people you don't know, but you're going to walk out with a new best friend at the end of the day. It's like, this world will be so much of a better place. And I
wore the Disney princess outfit last year, and nobody knew who I was.
Nobody. Were you Beauty or the Beast? Which one were you?
Oh, he had the tiara and everything.
Okay, good.
By far the scariest costume that was at Comic-Con.
Now, folks can go there, and if you see a celebrity you like, you can line up. You can get pictures with them. You can get autographs. You can get all kinds of stuff. There's a cost to it, but tell the folks how they can do that.
Yeah, once you get in, your ticket gets you in the door. And then from there, whatever you want to do, if you don't ever want to spend another penny, you don't have to. You can walk up and just talk to folks. We have free play, video games, tabletop games, all that stuff. You got panels, Q&As. There's plenty to do that doesn't cost you another penny beyond your ticket. If you want to get photos, autographs, if you want to shop some of the vendors we have coming in, if you're going to get concessions while you're there, all of that stuff does carry an additional cost. But yeah, like you said, it's just get in line, walk up to the table. If you just want to say hi and tell the person how much you appreciate their performance in XYZ, or how much it meant to you to come home every day after school, and maybe your parents were both working, but you could turn on the TV and there was the cartoon that you watched every day and that kind of kept you going or whatever. Yeah, come let them know. People, the number of celebrities who end up doing these things, they end up in tears at some point over the weekend because somebody said something that they hadn't heard before and just absolutely moved them, for them, that's one of the best parts. Sure, yes, this helps pay the bills when they're between jobs, but it's kind of a isolated experience. If you're a celebrity or like a voice actor who's maybe not like a big celebrity, but people don't know who you are when you walk in the grocery store, it can be kind of isolating. You're doing your work, and then a year later, in some cases, they put it out there, and you hope for the best, and maybe people like it, maybe they don't. And you see what the critics say, but to have people line up, spend their time and energy and money to come in and tell you how much they appreciate something that you did, that's why a lot of the folks that we work with come back and do these things year after year.
And then also the amount of stuff that you can just purchase when you're there. Oh, yeah. Everything from comic books to props to
swords,
full costumes, and all that. I mean, if you just want to come, purchase some of these type things. I had no idea how much stuff was available to sell from hundreds and hundreds of vendors there. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And we do, a lot of people always ask, like, how many local vendors do you have? Because that's important. How many returning vendors do you have? Because that's important too. We try to get a good mix of local vendors and returning vendors. Sometimes people ask, like, how many comic book vendors are you going to have? Well, I don't know because I don't work with that group of people, but you can't have 30 comic book vendors because now they're just competing with each other, right? You can only limit it to a certain amount. You can only have so many people selling this, only so many people selling that. And if we don't get enough locals applying to be a vendor to sell something that, there's a hole in our system. We need somebody to plug this in by selling XYZ. If we don't get the locals to do that, then we do fall back on some of the returning vendors who are local vendors. They were local to some place we went to and did a convention. And then they enjoyed it, and they just kind of, hey, if you guys are in town again, if you guys are going somewhere close that I can get to, I'd be happy to be a vendor there. So yeah, we will rely on that. So a lot of times people ask that question, well, how come we see the same vendors in a few places year after year? And it's just, that's because we didn't get enough local vendors that are new to us applying for that. So yeah, you'll see, the sword guy. There's only so many sword people selling swords. Yeah. So you're going to see the same sword guy probably, right? Because there aren't a whole lot of folks in the Little Rock area who have the inventory and manpower and equipment to spend their weekend at Comic-Con. But we do we try to get a good mix of both. But again, a lot of it comes down to who's applying for these spots.
And those people that's been there all afternoon and they get hungry, you got food there too. You got some vendors there, and Hurt Donut is right across the street.
Yep, Hertz is across the street. Wasabi, if you're into the sushi and stuff, is across the street. I mean, if you just want to walk down the street a little bit, Diablo's. I mean, yeah, this is the the downtown, that strip there of all kinds of venues and locations and restaurants and different things depending on what you're looking for. I always like to make a stop into Kilwins at some point over the weekend just to get a warmed up a warm cone with a cold ice cream in it. That's a tradition on my end. So yeah,
nice.
I'll be making that walk from the convention center one of these days as well.
Every single day.
If I could, I would.
All right. I mean, we'll blur your face if need be, but let's hear the politically correct answer. Who are you excited about being there?
Oh boy, let me look at the list. So if I had to just pick one off of the list that I'm looking at, I would say for me personally, the one I'm most looking forward to, and I've only worked with her once, and it was earlier this year, so I'm looking forward to getting to work with her again, is Adrienne Barbeau. She was in Escape from New York, a lot of John Carpenter stuff. She was in Swamp Thing, Creep Show. I mean, she's one that I absolutely love, and she's so fun and she's personable. Listen, in the middle of her Q&A, she got a phone call and she said, "Oh my God, this is my ex-husband. Do you mind if I take it?" I'm like, absolutely, take your phone call. I thought she was going to walk backstage and take a phone call. No, she just pulled it up and was talking. And so the alarm was going off at the house, and he was over there to make sure nothing was wrong. So she's giving him the security code to get in the house and stuff, into the microphone in a room full of people.
Nice.
So I told her, make sure you change that when you get home, because now we all know how to get into your house. She, on the way to the green room, she reached over, grabbed my arm. She's like, "Did I ever tell you about the time when I was dating Burt Reynolds?" And I'm like, "No, this is the first time we've met." She's like, "Okay, well, we're going to do this again. I'll tell you that one." So I'm like, "Okay, we'll talk about it in Little Rock then." So she's just so sweet and personable. And, like I said, these people are big stars. They are, well known. They're named actors and actresses and whatnot. But they're just people, and they have such a good time. We only go to, we primarily work like the Midwest and the Mid-South, and we work what I call like the big small towns, right? Like Little Rock. It's not a major market. It's not Chicago. It's not New York. The people that are putting on conventions in Chicago, New York, Denver, Seattle, LA, San Diego, they're not coming to Little Rock. And so that if we can bring that type of experience to a smaller market, which is not small by any stretch of the imagination, but a smaller market than those, then absolutely we will. And you get a different vibe. And that's what a lot of our folks appreciate too. A lot of the guests you'll see we work with over and over, because it's a little slower, right? People are a little nicer. Things are moving at a pace that's manageable, and people are friendly, and they got smiles on their faces, and they're bringing in the artwork that they made or whatever. And so, people appreciate that kind of small town feel in a big convention like this. So that's another reason why you see a lot of the same guests over and over on our shows. We try not to book the same guests year after year in the same city, but like we might work with somebody in Little Rock. We may work with them again in Peoria, and then we may work with them again in Birmingham or whatever. And that's the reason they keep giving us, is like, you guys are putting on conventions in the places where we want to be, because these people want us there. They're genuinely excited to see those people in their city, and they're just nicer. It's like I said, it's a little slower pace. It's not just sign your name and just keep them moving through the line. It's stop and chat and have a conversation with somebody. And that's one of the things they appreciate about coming to all of our shows, but Little Rock in particular.
See, I think I'm wanting to see Kane Hodder. the most.
Kane's a lot of fun. Yeah, he has quite the sense of humor.
I mean,
he will be busting somebody's chops throughout the weekend.
How many Jason masks are going to be walking around Comic-Con over?
There will be a few. There'll be some on, and there'll be some in backpacks, in bags, and stuff people want to take out to the car. But
yep, absolutely.
Now, before we let you go,
yeah,
tell folks how the best way to find out information about the Comic-Con, about tickets and everything like that. Guess.
You can find everything on our website at arkansascomiccon.com, but we also post most of the stuff that's there, or if we post something new, we'll also share that on social media. So the Facebook page, the Instagram account, just search for Arkansas Comic Con and you'll find it. Then that's going to be really busy. It's going to be heating up over the next 6 weeks or so as we continue to add more updates and let people know, what time things are happening and where things are happening, what room this is going to be going on in. So, yeah, look for a lot of that information to be coming out in the near future.
I mean, awesome. September 18th through the 20th,
Absolutely.
downtown Little Rock, State House Convention Center. I'm excited, just like every year. I said, worst case scenario, just go walk around and people watch. There's a lot. Just avoid Roy when he's got on his little princess
With his tiara.
But everything else is good. So.
But I'll loan it to you if you want, Joey.
I'll tell you what, if I bring in the glass slipper, you try it on and we'll see what happens. See if that dress materializes around you. Yeah.
Roy is going to crush anything glass. That's not going to
That's true. I'll probably crush it before I get it to you, to be honest. Is it going to make the trip?
But man, we appreciate the time and we look forward to seeing you in September. And if there's anything that we can do, by all means, just let us know and we'll help in any way that we can.
Absolutely. Be sure to stop by. I'll probably be around the stage most of the weekend, so stop by and say hi.
We'll do. Absolutely.
Take care, Joey.
See you guys. Thank you.
Be safe. We'll see you soon.
You bet.